Let's go! Today we are breaking down the LSU offense, and what I want to do is show you the first two plays of the USC game, and I want you to tell me if you notice something, what these plays have in common. Obviously, this is the type of offense we want, getting things done really quickly, taking what the defense gives us. And the truth is, after the first two games of the season, the LSU offense has been mostly good, right? Even if you factor in the Wisconsin game under Joe Sloan, that game was also a really good game offensively. But a lot of you have concerns about the running game, and today I'm going to give you one simple fix as to what can help this running game get going, okay? So you've seen the first play, and now the second play has already begun, and guess what? It's an explosive pass play. Even after Garrett Nussmeier pump fakes, he could have had Aaron Anderson in the flat for a good gain, and then he also finds Kyron Lacey for another explosive pass play right in front of D'Anton Lynn. Here's the angle from my seats, and you'll notice both plays involve a play action fake. Now, this first one is a RPO read, so that's a little bit different, but this is a pure play action fake. This is actually my favorite LSU play of the season because it also factors pre-snap motion into the play. I just love looking at this type of offense. Now, before we dive deeper into play action rate, let's take a look at the LSU overall offensive statistics. In terms of EPA per play, which is an advanced analytic, we are 7th in the SEC behind Vanderbilt. We are 10th in yards per play. As you can see, not so great in yards per pass attempt, 11th, and of course, 14th in yards per rush. So let's take some data from Cooper at Notre Dame Analytics, and before you blow it off, you'll see why he's actually doing this study, okay? So the first thing that is truly wild to me is play action passes are so much more productive than non-play action passes, and that has been the case over the past 10 years. Every single season, it's averaged over 2 yards per pass attempt more than non-PA attempts. And because of that, you notice each and every season, teams have drastically increased their play action pass rate. But one of the few successful offensive coordinators who have not done that, well, it's the man Joe Sloan had been sitting next to for years now, and that's Mike Denbrock. As you can see with this chart, I know it's kind of hard to see. You take a look at this middle column, though. Mike Denbrock's play action rate has always been very low. The top number, obviously, is the actual percentage of play action passes that he threw, and the bottom number is the national rank. And as you can see, he is routinely outside the top 80, and more often than not at LSU, outside the top 100. So, guess what? I know it's not really a shock, but that has continued. Notre Dame is by far last in play action rate in all of college football. And you notice there are some other struggling offenses mixed in here as well as LSU. Very low play action rates. So let's take a look at Garrett Nussmeier this year on play action versus non-play action passes. So you can see that 20.8% of his dropbacks have featured play action, and it has been a double the amount of yards per pass attempt on non-play action plays. So that shows you that this play has been, or this type of play has been far more productive. And, well, his film grade is 90.1 per PFF compared to 79.3. This is where it gets very interesting, is the ADOT is only 6.4. So ADOT, of course, stands for average depth of target. And as you can see, despite having a 3-yard lower ADOT, it is still producing double the amount of yards. So it's not necessarily just deep throws where play action benefits this offense. It's also underneath throws. Alrighty, so let's go to the third play action attempt in this USC game. And this is actually going to mesh a bunch of different things together that we're going to talk about, okay? First thing, pre-snap motion. One thing Denbrock and Joe Sloan have been really good at, pre-snap motion. LSU, I believe, is third in the SEC in that. The second thing is play action fake attached to it. Third thing, low ADOT throw. Fourth thing, another explosive pass play. Okay, play action fake with an underneath throw attached to it with a receiver who's not really known for yak. Mason Taylor breaks that tackle, and it's off to the freaking races. Okay, play action opening up things in this offense. You can see it here as well. You have to respect that play action fake. The backer right here honestly didn't really bite on it too hard. okay? But you do have to stay in and respect it some, okay? And you could see that it opens up space. It would have been interesting to see how this corner would have ended up with C.J. Daniels. I think the safety would have stayed underneath it, but still, it worked, okay? It worked. It wasn't the prettiest, but it got a guy into space, and we were able to get an explosive. But the one thing that I want you to take away from this study is, well, play action passes can also help with your running game, okay? So if you're a PHL subscriber, I've told you all offseason that sequencing when it comes to play calling matters. And one of my favorite things to do to get your run game going is throwing after a good pass, especially if it is a play action pass, okay? This is Josh Williams' longest run of the season, and coincidentally, it comes after a play action throw or just a throw in and of itself. One thing I want LSU to quit doing is running on consecutive possessions. That has just been so terribly unproductive during the Brian Kelly era. All right, so here's a consecutive down run. A lot of you remember this from the USC game. They're keying run, and they don't have to respect Garrett Nussmeier's rushing ability. So tell me if Bo Jackson is getting out of this. He's not. It's also getting our guys blown up and hurt, right? They're just keying it, right? Quit running on consecutive downs. All right, so here's our fourth play action pass of the game. And once again, they're sinking so far deep. This time they're respecting Mason Taylor, okay? But guess what? It's still an explosive pass play. Our pass blocking, for the most part, has been pretty solid this year. Boom. This gets Caleb Jackson going with a lot of space underneath, okay? Look at that. Play action does wonders. All right, so the only play action miss in this USC game was actually a huge mistake here from Garrett Nussmeier. So it wasn't even a great play action fake from Nuss to start. And you'll see the end zone angle. We remember this. We thought it was just a Mason Taylor drop. This ball was very easily deflected by the overhang. But this was actually a really good play call from Joe Sloan and Garrett Nussmeier, who so far this year has been good. Has not been a good deep passer, okay? This is the perfect call versus too high, okay, which is 4 verts, okay? Cloud corner sits, all right? You fake throwing to either this vertical or this vertical, which will hold the safety, and if the safety bites down on it, which he will, guess what? This is a vertical touchdown to C.J. Daniels down the sideline, or it's a vertical touchdown to Xavier Thomas up the sideline here. So that was actually a big mistake from Nuss and a good play-action call from Sloan. Here we go. Let's move ahead. Play-action fake. Once again, it's not only the shallow stuff, it's the deep stuff, okay? This forces these backers to bite. It makes it harder to get depth, and you're hitting the deep over right here to Kyron Lacey. The play-action fake mixed with some play-action, or mixed with some... So you get the play-action fake, and you actually mix it up with some misdirection, hit Kyron on the deep over. It's just very, very, very simple stuff. And another thing I like about play-action fakes is it helps with your pass protection because the defensive line also has to respect the rushing option, okay? Huge, huge game. This is obviously the best sequence of the game from LSU, okay? It's 1st and 15, so this is after a penalty, okay? Play-action fake, counter to the left, Mason Taylor over the middle, okay? It's not this play that I want you to focus on, though, all right? Once again, we're hitting Mason, hitting him right upfield to where he's able to run after the catch. Should he have been able to keep his feet? Sure, but it's still a nice game. But watch what happens after it, okay? Remember, you showed a counter run before this to the right. Now, this time, you're showing it to the left, okay? And they know that it was a misdirection throw to this side. So watch what happens just off of this, okay? This is really good sequencing here from Joe Sloan. So you're doing the opposite. You're actually handing it and running it in the opposite direction. And you're also tagging a misdirection little quick throw here to the outside because they also know off the play action fake, you've been hitting him with tight end slips with Mason Taylor. So you see how all that sequencing works out? And, well, what do you know? You finally get an explosive run play with your running back, right? So you hear me preach all the freaking time about play calling sequencing, okay? I am not a coach. I am not a play caller myself. But the one thing that the greats do, is they show you one thing, but they do the opposite the next time through. And you'll see it here, okay? After the deep throw on the deep over, it forces this safety to have to respect all those play action shallow hits that you've been doing, all these play action deep overs you've been doing. It just draws all these DBs over here. And look, an offensive line can look great if they have one or two less hats to block in the box, okay? So all of those things need to marry together. All right, so guess what happened in the fourth quarter? Joe Sloan called no play-action passes, none, okay? So Garrett Nussmeier made a few nice explosive plays. The Aaron Anderson deep shot had a lot to do with all the coverage that they drew to Kyron Lacy. But this was their only play-action pass, okay, in the entire fourth quarter. And guess what happens, okay? And this really isn't a play-action pass. This is more so an RPO slip read, if you ask me. Once again, I don't know all the play calls. Guess what? This would have been the game decider, okay? I don't know why Aaron Anderson looked at the sideline. I think that kind of spooked Garrett Nussmeier. But once again, this is an easy throw. Hit him on the upfield shoulder, and, well, that happened, okay? Don't know what that is. But the only play-action pass worked, okay? And, well, we didn't throw it. So full disclosure, I don't know exactly what PFF considers play action, no play action. I think some RPOs are just considered to be screens. But as you can see, Garrett was 8 of 9 on play actions, with that only miss being to Mason up the seam, which should have been a touchdown. All right, so you do not need the run game to set up play action. You don't. It's been proven in different studies. Now, do I believe play action is better when you have a good running game? Sure. But you don't need it, right? LSU's run game has been terrible, but what do? They get in 12 personnel, they crunch everyone in, and they decide to throw it. And this honestly wasn't really that poorly defended by Nicholls. So get a play action fake here to Caden Durham, and guess what? It's a two-man route concept that we eventually hit on the deep over here to the man, the myth, the legend, C.J. Daniels, who has been playing really freaking well for LSU. Okay, play action fake. Boom. Okay, hit him in stride. And guess what? He almost scored this, right? He made this guy miss. And if he would have been able to keep his balance right here, it's a foot race going this way to score. All right, remember, Caden Durham has barely run at all. But you still respect play action fakes, even if the play action fake isn't really that deceptive. Okay? Caden Durham just shows that there really wasn't much of a handoff fake at all. And guess what? It just works. I don't know exactly why it works, but it does, and we get Aaron Anderson's second most explosive pass play on the season, okay? What a throw. What a freaking catch, okay? So, like the USC game, Garrett Nussmeier was far more dominant on play-action throws, 6 of 7 for a whopping 14.8 yards per attempt. All other pass attempts were only 6.9. And I'm actually showing you the only miss in this game. You can actually go see it, the breakdown of this play for yourself on our Nicholls Film Study. Play action shot here. Trey'Dez Green was open over the middle if he wanted it, but he decided to take this deep shot, which he barely overthrew to Kyron Lacy, who indeed had a step and was also slightly interfered with, but there was no penalty flag thrown. So after studying the Sloan Nuss offense dating back to Wisconsin, I have found 2 play designs that LSU must continue to run, and it's on my Patreon page, and for the next 72 hours, it's free, okay? Absolutely free. The link is down below. But I do want to give you a few major takeaways after studying this duo. The first is LSU must run more play action. It's simple. If college football teams as a whole average 2 more yards per pass attempt, why don't you take advantage of this cheat code, okay? And the thing that really sucks about it is LSU has the fewest rushing attempts in all of college football when it comes to the SEC, and the 3rd lowest in all of college football. I didn't word that smoothly at all, but you get the point, okay? So the next 2 big takeaways are practically the same thing. Do not run on consecutive plays and only run the football with your running backs after throwing, okay? Let's go back to the LSU-Wisconsin game, and this is practically the same thing that was in the USC game. You notice we didn't really get the run game going with our running backs, but we did have 3 12-yard gains on the ground. You know what all 3 of these gains had in common? They came on plays where there was an explosive pass play that happened the play before it, okay? Now, ironically, this is one of the play designs that we broke down on our PHL Patreon, okay? I highly recommend you go check it out because this is a play that Joe Sloan should keep running until teams stop it, okay? Garrett Nussmeier did some good innovating to throw a deep pass to BTJ over the middle, okay? I didn't crop these in the correct order, but you get exactly what I'm saying. And then guess what happens on the very next play in a running situation? Well, you finally get a run play to go over double-digit yards. This was the first in the entire game. It was Josh Williams right up the gut for a comfortable 12-yard gain. So you see what happens when you run after you throw it. Don't just keep slamming it just for the sake of slamming it. And speaking of that, quit running short yardage out of heavy and tight formations, okay? This is my biggest offensive pet peeve, and quite frankly, it almost cost us the Missouri game. I won't get into that, but you guys remember this play in the Wisconsin game on a 4th and 1, our center getting drilled 5 yards into the backfield for a huge negative loss. It's not that we're only running these plays, it's that we're also losing yardage on these plays. A lot of you remember this one versus USC that just happened and, quite frankly, more than likely cost us the game. And the big takeaway, number 5, is Jaden Daniels is an alien. After studying play action rates all day, it's pretty insane that this man had arguably the best statistical Heisman season ever without the need of play action at all. And I think Mike and our guy Joe Sloan should realize that. Call more play action. Just because this guy didn't need it, and he also didn't need a running back run game, you've got to really start figuring out other ways to get the run game going. And I think play action, the actual play action fake itself, actually helps out when you actually run the football with your running backs, if that makes sense. I'm looking at you. Okay. There's more to it than just play actioning. I'm not saying that that is a be-all, end-all, but you guys saw for yourself how much better our run game is after throwing, not running on consecutive downs. And if you actually go and look at the USC drives where we had to punt the football, it was on sequences of downs where we didn't use play action at all, right? I actually cut over 20 minutes of film study out of this, and it forced me to miss a live stream. Yes, so this video is playing instead of our normal live stream. This is our normal schedule for those that want to tune in. Okay, I also want to shout out all my friends on Twitter: Reach, Will, Mike, Preston, Cody, Caleb, Steven, Ashley Lowe, and I'm missing a few others. I actually throw this tweet out for suggestions. There is a lot of things that can also help out this LSU offense, including some of your best players beginning to play better. I do push back, though, on the lack of deep threat comment. That's actually something that I've seen a whole lot of. I think LSU has plenty of good deep threats. I think Garrett's deep ball throwing hasn't been the absolute best, but we know that that more than likely is going to get better. So I appreciate all the love, especially from NOPOD, the 360 photo booth with Zion Imaging, and of course, nooffseason.com. And if you want to partner with us, comment down below. Y'all, it is a free Patreon film study. 2 plays that Joe Sloan must keep running, okay? It's simple plays. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And tonight, we're doing lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go.